Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. I hope you guys enjoyed yesterday's video, a slightly longer video, in case you guys didn't have anywhere better to be on a Friday evening. Josh of Estée and I were talking about the state of Chelsea, where we've gone, where we've come from, and today I've even got a shirt on. We're keeping the good vibes coming. Tomorrow we've got Bournemouth, which means, you guessed it, today is a double upload day. There will be the Bournemouth preview either, I think later on today. I don't think I'll do it the morning of the game, so it will be later on today. In today's video, we're going to talk about Pochettino's fears after the defeat to Wolves. I'm not going to talk about it for too long. I'm going to talk about season ticket and ticket prices for Chelsea next season. Cole Palmer is the Premier League Young Player of the Year. And then I'm going to talk about a subject and a topic that I've kind of avoided, Michael Olise. So we're going to start off by taking a look at Matt Law's tweet here. Pochettino reveals that he feared for his job after Wolves' defeat, and yet the Chelsea turnaround has been such that the club may reflect they've had a better season than Tottenham. And I'm just going to put it out there. Spurs got absolutely nowhere in cup competitions. Chelsea got to a final and we're about 3 minutes away from making it a shootout. Who knows what would have happened? We didn't win it. Whatever. Semi-final of the FA Cup. Arguably, we should have won. On any other day, we actually win that game. But Premier League officials, FA Cup officials, English officials, let's just say. And we get knocked out in a sour way by Manchester City. And on the final day of the season, we could be within 3 points of Tottenham Hotspur. So I would argue, on the basis of everything, considering the injury crisis that Chelsea have had, yes, Spurs have had their own injuries, but you can argue here, again, somehow Spurs have just crumbled and Chelsea are rising. We're heading in the right direction. And to say that we've had a better season than Spurs, I would actually argue this one in a court. You know, I think you can say cup final, cup semi-final, one place apart in the Premier League, most likely. It's a pretty good season for Chelsea. I'd also say, looking forward, we are definitely on a more upward trajectory than Tottenham Hotspur are. Let's move now to discuss the season ticket prices for Chelsea next season. Exclusive. Chelsea increased GA, which is general admission, season ticket prices for the first time in 13 years. But 5% rise is much better than many fans feared. No change to concessions. Now, it might seem a bit weird coming from someone who is a Chelsea fan who now lives the other side of the world. I don't really go to games anymore, so I feel as though my opinion on this one is kind of invalid. But I want to discuss it because a 5% increase for something that has been frozen in 13 years in terms of that price, we are living in a cost of living crisis. However, gate admissions are something that Chelsea obviously need to be higher in order to bring more money into the club, in order to ease financial tension on the club. And I would say that everything in the world right now has gone ridiculously expensive. Unless your living wage or your salary has dramatically gone up, in which case you probably wouldn't notice because you wouldn't care about how much things cost. Even the cost of running the daily affairs at Stamford Bridge, Cobham, match days, these things are going to be costing so much more now than they did. So I think people might be upset about this, but I think Matt Law says it right. I think it is better than a lot of people feared. A 5% rise is still a lot. It's still, like, I think, £37 a year on top of the base rate for the cheapest season ticket. But I think it's still good. I think Chelsea is still trying to do their part to not only deal with inflation and the financial struggles of the world that will also affect them, but also keeping things relatively fair. As I said, I can't speak from the sense because I obviously don't buy tickets anymore. I don't go to games, so I live the other side of the world. But I don't think it is all that bad. Now, there's another piece of personal Chelsea news here that I think is beautiful. Brian Pullman. Some of you may know who this guy is. Some of you may not. He's worked for Chelsea since 1968. That's 2 years after my dad was born. And will retire this summer. A heartfelt farewell from journalists, colleagues and friends at Cobham today for a true gentleman. I think the importance of this actually can't really go understated. In a world where, there's obviously a lot more new fans to football, which is great. In order for the money that is in the sport to keep going up, we obviously need new eyes. We need new faces. That's part of the vision also of the new ownership. But it is so nice to see these stories where you've had people working at Chelsea for so long it kind of reminds you that the history of the club and those that have been close to this club for so long still hold such an important part of the heritage. And I wanted to reference this. Brian Pullman, thank you for the service at the football club for the past almost 60 years. Absolutely mental stuff. Now, we have also got the brilliant, quite beautiful news that Cole Palmer wins the award as Premier League Young Player of the Year. Chelsea star has scored 22 goals and provided 10 assists in the Premier League this season. Look, on one hand, I'm like, yeah, I'm always ranting and raving about how good Cole Palmer is. On the other hand, I'm like, hang on a minute. Sometimes you've just got to take a step back, stare down the lens of the camera, look at the microphone for 1 second and be like, ladies and gentlemen, we have got ourselves here beyond a serious talent. What an incredible first season in the Premier League. I'm going to call it that because I know he's played minutes for City, but it's insane to go from being a City player, winning a treble, but being like on the fringes of that treble side. It's like you get the medal, you feel part of it, but like there's unfinished business. The story and the personal narrative that every footballer has, it's always about the team. We're always told, yep, thanks to the teammates, thanks to this. But when you are that fringe player and you're as good as Cole Palmer and you've got that fire in your belly that Cole Palmer obviously had, to come to Chelsea and then be like, this is me. This is what I can do. I'm going to make this team. And this season, if it wasn't for Cole Palmer, I'm not going to say what I'd have said a few weeks ago. We'd have got relegated. Because if you took his goals away a few weeks ago, Chelsea would have been in the relegation zone. But to have this level of contribution is unprecedented. I think it is one of the best ever, if not up there with the best ever individual seasons that a player has ever had, moving to a Premier League club. And I think we can talk a lot about missing the likes of Eden Hazard. We can look back on some of the moments of despair this season. And Cole Palmer, if we reflect on this season as a whole, which we'll obviously do after the Bournemouth game, the amount of moments of just jaw-dropping brilliance this guy has provided has been absolutely sensational. And to win the Young Player of the Year is one thing. I think he could have on any arguing day, he could have actually won the Player of the Year too. I think the impact he's had on Chelsea this season is immense. And when we talk in recent videos, you guys can see the difference, the change in the energy from my side about believing in Chelsea again and looking forward and being generally excited for the summer, the transfer window, next season, pre-season. Everything is looking up. And this guy, Cole Palmer, is one of the biggest reasons for that. If for whatever reason he doesn't have a key role for Southgate during the Euros, no wonder England don't win the competition. I'm saying that right now. Cole Palmer has to play for England, and I think England are a better side for incorporating this bloke in the team. What a season. Thoroughly deserved, and I don't think he's going to stop here. I don't think this is one of those one-season wonder things. I think so many people, when Chelsea bought him, a lot of people are like, what a silly signing. This doesn't make any sense. But those that have seen him play, seen him grow up through the years in the younger squads, the development sides of Man City, they knew that there was a special talent there. And I think as much as people might be like, how stupid is Guardiola? I think in all honesty, without just labelling Guardiola an idiot for not giving him a role, it just shows how good Man City are. And I think that is what Chelsea should obviously be striving and aiming towards. Not breaching 115 charges, but we need to be aiming for those levels. And Cole Palmer, if we're ever going to get there, will be a massive reason for that. We move. Fabrizio Romano has obviously spoken a lot about Michael Olise, the Crystal Palace right winger, the Frenchman who's not been called up to the Euros squad for France, which is actually mind-blowing. Neither's Nkunku, neither is Disasi, and neither is Gusto. This is great if you're a Chelsea fan worried about injuries, but you'd also want these players to be given the recognition, particularly Gusto, who's been magnificent. But Michael Olise is one of those players where I've already spoken at great length about the depth in the right wing position, the right midfield, attacking areas that Chelsea have. If we sign Estẽvåo Willian, which it's looking more and more likely that this deal is getting very close, then that gives us 6 players in that position that all have a lot of potential and are already either really good players. The problem with Olise, which is a good problem, is that I think he's too good of a footballer that if the price is right and Chelsea want him and the player wants Chelsea, I think he's too good to not sign. And I think that having a strike force that would include Cole Palmer, Michael Olise, and Christopher Nkunku is incredible. And in terms of like recent bias, I've loved the performances of Noni Madueke. I've liked the work that Mudryk's put in. It's not been enough in my opinion, but still, like the affinity that we have towards these players and wanting them to grow can never overshadow the potential that Chelsea have to actually bring in really good players. And I think Michael Olise, Chelsea have been long-term admirers of him. We were so close last summer to signing him, and then he ended up staying at Palace, which I actually think was a great decision because this year, especially in this rejuvenated Crystal Palace team under Oliver Glasner, he has become one of the best players in the Premier League, which is why Man United want him, Chelsea want him. There's loads of other top clubs looking at Michael Olise. And I'm going to put one out there here for you guys to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Noni Madueke, I think, is actually a great player. I have really warmed to this guy in recent weeks since he's actually started putting in the defensive work. I think it's helped his attacking game. I think when you're a young winger and you're so focused on running at players, taking players on, trying to score, trying to shoot, sometimes I think defensive work just seems like a chore that can stop you being good at the attacking things. And I don't think that's the case. I think as a winger, as you mature, as you grow, you understand that actually helping the defense speeds up the process of the transition of an attack. And if you've got the speed that Madueke has to get back into those attacking positions, he can then be there to be the man to isolate the opposition fullback in that one-on-one. And before you know it, he's done the defensive work, been involved in the build-up, and then he's in position to do what he's best at. Madueke's done that well. But the one question I want to know from you guys in the comments below, can Chelsea, and is this a good idea, offer Palace Noni Madueke as part of a deal for Michael Olise? If Chelsea turn around to Noni and say, look, we have got so many players in your position, we want Olise, and if Olise comes, whether you're involved in the deal or not, he's taking your spot. If you're Madueke, I think he's good enough to be a Chelsea player, I do, and I think he's going to grow. But Olise is just that level above, in my opinion, which is why I'm posing the question to you guys in the comments right now. I do think there is a world here where Chelsea won't offer another player for Michael Olise, but that is something that I have read. It's something that I have seen, and I'd love to know your thoughts on this one. It's weird because I look at that right side and I put the players up on the screen. This is a talent pool. It's an insane talent pool. But I just think Olise right now is a level above the majority of those players. It also basically cements Palmer as a central player, which is where he's at his absolute best for Chelsea. So I don't know. It's quite exciting, but then I'm like, well, what do we do with everyone else? There's a big question about this one here. Chances are I think he'll go to Man United, if I'm honest. But what a player Olise would be, but it just seems like a massive overkill. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for all the support on the channel. I don't think we've had this much momentum on GBFC for at least a year. It's been amazing. Thanks for all the support. Subscribe if you are new. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. And stay tuned. Later on today, your preview for Chelsea Bournemouth will be released. Come on, you Blues.